Hello and welcome to the Chris and Bud Show. My name is Chris Scarborough, and with me is my co-host, my friend, and my brother in pod, Mr. Bud Bohannon. Together, we'll be taking you on a nostalgic ride discussing a wide array of topics from our childhood through today, hoping to share a bunch of laughs along the way.
Time it is. It's time.
No, not yet.
Can I go now?
Yeah, now.
It's time for the Chris and Bud Show. Bud here from the future again. Last week we left off where Chris was being a wussy, talking about how he doesn't like PvP aspect. Just kidding, Chris. And now he's about to go on to some of the games that he played on Xbox One. So with that being said, let's get into it.
I'm going to go through a few games that I just want to kind of touch on. I got a long list here, but I'm not going to talk about all of them. You know, Minecraft, when that came out, and it was ported over to the original Minecraft Xbox One edition, before they added in just the Minecraft edition, where it was, I'm pretty sure it's all crossplay now. When that happened, I was really excited because I really enjoyed that style and that version. And then they added games like 7 Days to Die, which is basically like a quote unquote grown up version of Minecraft. And I had a lot of fun playing that game. I played it with Little John, my brother as well. It's just like I guess it's like a grown up version of Minecraft. That's the best way I can explain it. It was definitely a fun game. It encompassed a lot of things that I guess you like about Minecraft, and it turned it into more of a grown-up style, I guess. We covered a lot of the other ones, like the Assassin's Creed series already. We covered Anthem, kind of the issues there. We've already talked about Batman, BioShock. A lot of the games that I played, unfortunately, are just port-overs from the 360. I didn't really play a lot of new games, per se, I guess. One that I do want to hit on was Neverwinter. I remember playing that game on the PC. I played it with Little John. I think Little John will basically do anything you ask him to do. He'll basically play any game you want him to play.
He's a team player.
Like, okay. Yeah, he's like, let's play. And I remember playing it with him on the PC. And we had this is during my time. I know I was single at this time, of course. And this is during a time period where I was like getting burnt out on EverQuest. Like I was like I could probably play EverQuest for like 6 months straight. And then like after that, I kind of get burnt out. And then I want to play something else. And then I want to go back to EverQuest because this game is not EverQuest. But that was during one of those time periods for Neverwinter when it was still on the PC. And then they imported it over to the Xbox One. And it plays really good on the, without the WASD and without the mouse, it still plays really smooth with the controller. I think it's crazy how they can map all these extra buttons, using the LBs and RB buttons now. And I just really enjoyed the game and the gameplay. I try to get a lot of you guys into it. Unfortunately, it just kind of is what it is sometimes. A lot of people gave it a shot. This is when they started adding the free-to-play games into the Xbox Marketplace. This is one of the first ones, really. That was a full-size game. It wasn't just like either an older game, like a 360 game, or like just a smaller arcade style game. So this is like one of the first big games that they added to that free to play list. And I really had a lot of fun playing it. Me and John, I know we both played, him and I, because he was my roommate at the time. So we played a lot of video games together just because we were, close proximity to each other. I remember beating like 6-man dungeons, just me and him and stuff. And like I got a lot of fond memories of it. A couple other games that I played that I really enjoyed was State of Decay 2. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy that game. Again, me and Little John, we played it together, and it's just the stupid things that you get yourself stuck into, like running into juggernauts and other, like, I guess the best way State of Decay uses a lot of the similar things of like Left 4 Dead, where they have the different sort of zombie, like meta zombies, like the major zombies like juggernauts and other styles, like oh goodness, I can't remember what they're called. If I'd have played it yesterday, I'd be able to tell you, but
yeah, like there's a lot of different Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesises. Yeah. Just a bunch of different styles of characters, different things that you had to learn about. Like, I think one has like a tongue, and he'll like drag you away. I can't remember if that's Left 4 Dead or this. Anyway, just like you just had to learn the different characters and when you'd run into them. Another game I really enjoyed was The Outer Worlds. I got really into that game. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the additional adding characters and like building your team and stuff. I kind of wish it had in multiplayer. I understand why it doesn't, because it's just not the way it was made. But it would have been fun to be able to play with friends and have them sub in and out for your team. It's similar to Dragon Age Origins, and how Origins you were running around with a full group of teammates. Actually, the whole Dragon Age series, but it reminded me a lot of Origins in a lot of ways, just in outer space. A couple other games, Super Mega Baseball 2 is like not like a normal sports game, but it was a lot of fun. It's kind of like,
isn't that the one with the big head on the cover?
Yeah. The first one wasn't very good. That's the one with the big head on the cover. Is Super Mega Baseball. Super Mega Baseball 2 is there's a runner up to that one. It has a guy, I think he's sliding on the cover. If you didn't really like Super Mega Baseball 1, or if you did, you would really, really, really like Super Mega Baseball 2. I don't know why it's so much different, but it plays not necessarily realistic, but it plays less arcadey and less like I don't really know how to explain it. The original Super Mega Baseball was very blocky and
clunky.
Yeah, and Super Mega Baseball 2 improved on everything, and it's a lot better game without having that, like, you had to know how to throw a pitch a certain way. It's not trying to take itself super seriously, obviously.
Yeah, it's like slugfest in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it just my brother, he's the one that told me you should play this game. I think it was a free game, so it's not like I paid for it, but or if I did, it wasn't very much. And he was like, you should really give it a shot. And I was like, man, I didn't really care for the first one. He's like, it's nothing like it. And I was like, okay. So I remember trying it, and I was like pleasantly surprised, because you can still hit home runs, and you're still doing things that like you really would want to do, but it doesn't feel like the first one, where it was like you had the pitcher and then the hitter, and then it was like you were running on like a tabletop game. It was I don't know. Super Mega Baseball 1 was not very fun, because I tried to go back and play it after I played the second one, and I was like, well, I don't remember if maybe I'll like it better now that I enjoyed the second one, and to play the first one again. And I was like, okay, yeah, these are not the same games.
Those are the best games, aren't they? The ones that you play on a whim and you're pleasantly surprised by them, and then next thing you know, you've got 200-300 hours in a game you never thought you'd play for 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's I think EverQuest, I have days, like 80 days. I don't know how many hours that is. 80 on certain characters. Some have like 380 days played. Like, yeah, so I'm with you, man. Now, I don't know if those aren't like straight play time, but yeah, I'm 100% with you on that one. I could probably load up one of the characters that strictly gameplay, and it's just weird, some of the games that stick with you throughout everything. And that's what EverQuest was for me. I know we've kind of weaved in some PC games here and everything all through all this conversation, because, like I said, those were our foundations for video games. At least our master class, our graduation version of video games, right? So like it was no longer Mario and Super Mario Brothers, right? It was, for me, it was EverQuest. For you, it was Diablo 2, right?
Well, the other thing too is it was not so much as I guess you call it a hobby. Like, we're just playing video games to play video games. Like, these were our first games that kind of captured us and held our attention, like, to a point to where it was almost an addiction, or probably was an addiction, or is an addiction.
Yeah, I would say 100% an addiction. Yeah. Like, yes. if I could afford it, if I could, obviously I don't want to, but like, if I could just be single and alone again, like you and I would not probably be having these conversations. I would, I know it's pathetic to say, but like I would, I think about it, and I probably would still be playing video games. Like, that's just the way it is. Or definitely would be playing EverQuest. It's like every time I broke up with a girlfriend, that was like my mistress, right? Like, every time I was dating somebody, it's like EverQuest was like just taunting me. And then like, and it's not because of anything, right? Like, the video, it's not the graphics. They've updated the graphics once since 1999. So I think it was like in 2003. So we're talking 18 years ago. It's not the graphics. It's basically nothing about the game anymore, right? It's the investment I've already invested, and then it's the continuation thereof, right?
The nostalgia.
Yeah, like I tried to get Little John into it. He played with me a couple times, but again, it's like
It's so
Yeah.
hard to convince somebody that didn't play at this time
Yeah.
era, like, hey man, come play
Yeah.
a 20-year-old game with me. It was awesome. And then
Yeah.
that person in 2021 tries to play this
Yeah.
freaking game that's 20 years old, and they're like, this thing's awful. It's like, no,
Yeah.
man, you just don't get it. You gotta put 100 hours in the game before it starts to get good. Like, what? No, I'm not doing that. No.
Well, to go down my nerd rabbit hole and just to kind of like how sad my life was at one time, I was spending $45 a month to play this game, right? Like it's $15 a month. They have a subscription fee, and I was running 3 accounts, and because
Lord.
in this particular game, it's easier to have more characters. If you have 3, you have 3 main characters and like that you can use, and then you have 3 bots, 1 bot each character. So they're called mercenaries. I let him use one of those characters, so then he's even more confused, right? Because he didn't level the character up. He doesn't know the hot. And this one has hot bars, which is probably close to like how I don't know if Diablo 2 has hot bars, but like you have to input the skill in that bar for it to be able to be used. Otherwise, it won't be there. It's not like nowadays where like as you level or as you upgrade, they automatically assign the skill to a particular placement on the hotbar or on your bar in general.
Yeah,
right? Nowadays, they do that automatically.
We didn't have a hotbar in Diablo 2. You had your left click ability and your right click ability, and you used your mouse wheel to scroll between your different right click ability.
Okay. So no, nothing like what I'm talking about. Okay.
No, it wasn't like World of Warcraft in that aspect.
Yeah. So, but you did play World of Warcraft at least for a little bit, right? So you kind of understand what I'm talking about with hot bars.
I played it for like 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, I mean, so they even there were easier, where it automatically assigned all your skills, so you didn't have to worry about it. EverQuest, they added like alternate abilities where you can have extra abilities, and like they're like situational, so you only use them sometimes, but you have them on your hotbar just in case. And it's like you have like 7 pages of fucking hotbars. Like, yeah, it got kind of crazy there for a while.
Oh, it's kind of like Terra, right? You know, where they give you the option to expand your hotbar, so you can have like hotbar set 1, hotbar set 2, hotbar set 3.
And Neverwinter did it too. Yeah, Neverwinter. Pretty sure it was Neverwinter. No, it was not Neverwinter. The fuck? I don't. Yeah, I think it was just Terra. It might have been Terra. It might have been that one. I remember playing another game that had more than one. Oh, that was EverQuest 2. Brain dead. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, it gives you the ability to have multiple abilities available. But if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know where they're at, it's a lot harder to assign them to a skill tree or to a set ability spot. So I just remember trying to explain it to John, and we played for like, I don't know, a couple hours because I was farming something in particular, and it wasn't in a place that I could die often. I think he just did it because he was being nice more so than he actually really wanted to play. So it didn't last very long. I think he was like, and he never asked to play again. He was like, yeah, okay, that was cool. Whatever. I'm fucking over it. But a couple other games, I guess, to get back on topic, since we like to go down rabbit holes. Dragon Age Inquisition. I enjoyed the game. We talked about yesterday, our last podcast, we talked about how badly the multiplayer was, but the actual game itself was a lot of fun. I actually bought the Halo Master Chief Collection. I paid money for it, and I never played it. So there's that. I think I loaded up like the original Halo and was like, okay. I was like, John, we're gonna play through this, and I think I got to where we got in the Warthog for the first time, and I was done. I remember just like not being able to control it, and I just was like, okay, all right,
nothing's
cool,
changed.
Man. Yeah, I was like, all right, that's cool, man. So fuck this. And then I think we tried like 2 or 3. I don't remember which one. He's like, well, this one's better, and I was like, okay. So I tried it, and I was like, yeah, fuck this. It's just not my cup of tea. It is what it is. It's okay. As a whole, though, I think when I think about the Xbox One, obviously there's a lot of other games I didn't mention that I've played. Dying Light's one that I just want to wrap up real quick, and Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 was so much fun because it's an open world, and it was another game that me and my brother got to play together. You know, as we started to grow apart, he lives in another part of North Carolina, so he doesn't live really nearby. He lives about 2 hours away, so we don't get to spend as much time together as we used to. So like anytime we got to find a game that we played together, and that was one of the things I didn't even mention, but that the Xbox One added was there's an ability to set, you know, each other's Xbox as their home Xbox, and anything that you purchase will be available for the other person. So that
Suck
automatically
at PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. So that automatically doubled all my game library, right? Or like anything that my brother bought, I had available to me, and vice versa. So that if I'm like, hey man, do you want to play this game? I just bought it. He can't tell me, no, I can't buy it. I was like, no, motherfucker, you can, because you already have it. There's no excuse now, you know? And that's how Far Cry 4 happened. Was he bought Far Cry 4, and he said, hey man, you should download that when you get home, and we should play it. And I said, okay. And it's just like you're fighting against people and against the elements and against animals. And I got a funny clip that we recorded that when we were playing, we were running, like there's like masks and things that you know, like collectible stuff, like in every game these days.
Corona.
And yeah, the Corona.
Yep.
And I was going to grab my Corona mask, and when we was running along like a bank, like a I don't know, a river bank, I guess it would be. And I'm not really paying attention, and I keep running, and then I get like an alligator or a crocodile or some you know, one of them two jumps out and like totally just eats me, like grabs grabs a hold of me and like drags me down, like is like eating me. And I'm like, and it scares me because I didn't even see it. Like it blended in with the, you know, with the water pretty good. And but I wasn't paying attention to it. And my brother is like literally like belly laughing at me. And I'm like, are you going to fucking help me? Like, I'm like, it's just one of those things where it's like the game was it just was a lot of fun. Like, it's one of the things where it's like the experiences you have in the games are almost better than the games themselves. And that's like one of those funny experiences that I had in the game, that the game itself probably wasn't the best game, but it was fun to play with my brother in particular. Dying Light is the same way, where like I'm sure it's a great game, but I never really played it that much unless I was playing with my brother. And the funniest thing I have a clip of that too. He was like, we were like running around, and this is in daylight. I'm starting to get used to controls, and my brother had already played through the game, and so has little John. And because they were playing through it together, he just comes like out of nowhere and just like bicycle kicks this zombie right in the face, just absolutely out of nowhere. Like this guy was like chasing me, and I was like half scared because I wasn't familiar with the game mechanics and the game controls and stuff. And then all I see is my brother like jump off a car and like kick this guy right in the face. And it's just one of those things where it's, you know, it's just so funny. You got any closing thoughts on any other video games, or anything you want to add? Maybe even talk about Smite or Warcraft Warframe or any other games that maybe I covered.
I mean, if I get going on Smite, we'll be here for another hour probably.
Yeah.
One thing we can do is we can run over some of the best-selling games for each platform here. So the Xbox, PS4, and even the Wii U.
This is a sad state of Xbox, though.
It is. Like, I'll just go ahead and get this out of the way now. The number one selling game on Xbox One was Grand Theft Auto 5. That's at 8.7 million copies. Then to bounce over to PlayStation was Grand Theft Auto 5 at 20 million copies.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big gap for the same damn game on a different platform.
And this is after, if you look at the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox One as well. I mean, I'm sorry, the Xbox 360. I think it was the highest selling game or at least they were in the top 5 of both of those two. So just imagine how many total copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 that sold in general. Like, that's just mind blowing in its own right.
And to continue with the list, I'll stop flip flopping back and forth so y'all can keep some kind of track here. I'll just run down them. I have to do the top 20 on the Xbox list because Destiny's all the way here at the bottom, and I got to throw it in there. So we got Grand Theft Auto 5. Next is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. 3 is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. 4, Call of Duty World War II. 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. 6 is Minecraft Xbox One Edition. 7, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. 8, Battlefield 1. 9, Fallout 4. 10, Halo 5 Guardians. 11 Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, 12 Witcher 3, 13 Star Wars Battlefront, 14 Forza Horizon 3, 15 is FIFA 2017, 16 is Gears of War Ultimate Edition, 17 Assassin's Creed Unity. So I guess that game did better than how we liked it, or at least it sold better than how we liked it. 18 is Halo Master Chief Collection, 19 is Destiny, 20 is Gears 4, and then past that it's just pretty much sport games and stuff like that. So moving on to the PlayStation list. This list is a lot better than the Xbox One list, and that's just solely because of the exclusives on PlayStation. So 1, obviously, Grand Theft Auto 5. 2 is Uncharted 4. 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. 4, Red Dead Redemption 2. 5, Call of Duty World War 2. 6, Spider-Man, which is the second exclusive on the list. 7, God of War, which is the third exclusive. 8 is FIFA 2018. 9, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. 10 was actually a tie between Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an exclusive, and Last of Us Remastered, which is an exclusive. 12, Gran Turismo Sport, which is an exclusive. 13, Infamous Second Son, which is an exclusive. 14, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is an exclusive. 14, tied again, is Ghost of Tsushima, which is an exclusive. 16, Monster Hunter World. 17, Last of Us Part 2, which is an exclusive. And then 18 is tied with Detroit Become Human. I guess that's an exclusive. And Persona 5, which I guess is also another exclusive. And then 20 is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which I don't know if that's exclusive. I think it is. And then Final Fantasy 15. So yeah, PlayStation list had a lot of exclusives in their list of best-selling games. Whereas the Xbox One only had, I don't know if you want to consider PUBG an exclusive, because it did release on Xbox first, but it's on all platforms now.
Yeah.
Same with Minecraft. I'm pretty sure it's a multi-platform game. So
basically, they don't have any anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can say Halo
5 and
Gears
of War
4.
Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, and Gears 4 down there, number 20. And Master Chief Collection too, but
so that's what, 3 or 4.
Yeah, and 2 of them are remakes, so they're not even the original editions of them. So
it's pitiful.
Yeah,
and then the Wii U, no surprise here. Number 1, Mario Kart 8. Number 2, Super Mario 3D World. Number 3, Super Mario Brothers U. 4, Super Smash Brothers. 5, Nintendo Land. 6, Splatoon. 7, Super Mario Maker. 8, New Super Luigi U. 9, Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. 10, Mario Party 10. 11, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. 12, Wii Party. 13, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. 14, Yoshi's Woolly World. 15, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker words. 16, Pikmin 3. 17, Lego City Undercover. 18, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. And 19 is a tie at Hyrule Warriors and Pokken Tournament.
So the funny thing about, obviously, all of the Nintendos were exclusives, right? So
yeah,
what they do is a great job of promoting their own stuff, right? Every single one of those games on there, I'm sure if we popped them in, they'd be a lot of fun. They'd be exactly what you expect. The only quote unquote new game that was added was Splatoon, right? That was the only game that was not like a new edition or a new version. And I'm sure there's new story and stuff in some of those, but yeah, Nintendo does a great job of. We've said they should just rename their company as Mario, because that's what they basically Mario, the Legend
Zelda.
of Mario. Yeah, the Legend of Mario is just what the name of the company is, because that's basically. Well, I guess Donkey Kong to a significantly lesser extent now is basically what they're built their entire company on, and it's worked up to this point. But a funny little tidbit there was now granted they were packed with this, but Mario Kart 8 had 8.5 million sales, and it basically almost outdid Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Xbox One.
Yeah,
and the Wii U literally sold 13 million units, okay? 8.5 million of those they bought the some came with it, so there is that, but some of those in particular also had that's an insane number. That basically that attachment rate of a game sales is like 70% or 60 something percent. I don't know. I can't do the math off my head, but it's a pretty high number of what you're attaching buying a game, just one game to go with that. Whereas on the Xbox One, with over 41 million units sold, and the highest is like 8.7. We theorize that there's a lot of reasons of that, and a conversation, and a obviously we didn't record this on a podcast, but when we were talking about it, just like the differences in like consuming games these days versus 20 years ago, the ability to set your home Xboxes to each other so you're sharing games versus buying as many. And I'm sure not everybody does that. I'm sure there's not 41 million people who are giving access to a total of 82 million people for the each game. I'm sure that's not what's happening.
Don't give people a new argument.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not what's happening, but it's still. But even then, like, what are you doing? You double it then? So what? 16 million? It still outsold you, buddy, on the PS4. So like, it's just kind of wild. In my mind, I think a lot of it has to do with the Game Pass. Like, that's made a big difference, right? Like, what is the last game you bought? Like, physically bought, or not physically? I'm sorry, last marketplace game you bought, because we've already went over. We don't buy
probably
physical
Anthem.
copies. Yes, so at full price, 100%, it was Anthem for me. I don't. Or Destiny 2? No, it came after Destiny 2, right? So
yeah, Anthem came way after Destiny 2.
So yeah, Anthem was probably the last game I bought at full price. I've bought Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey might be the last game I purchased, I think. Yeah, because I just don't need to.
Maybe Kingdom Hearts 3. I think that came out after Anthem. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so too. But either way, we're talking about two games that we may have purchased in the last like 4 years or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not talking about like, usually we buy at least one video game a year, right? And we're talking about two in maybe like 3 or 4 years. Like Destiny 2.
Back in Anthem. Our prime, we were buying 3-4 video games a month.
Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it. And and a lot of that has to do with Game Pass, right? So you have access to new games whenever they decide to add them. I know they have to add a couple every month. It's just amazing to think about where we're going. I do want to kind of touch on, where do you think we're going, man? Where do you think the next 5-10 years? Where do you think we're pushing in this the new, the next, like I said, 5 or 10 years of gaming?
I have a feeling that everything's going to be like Google Stadia, except for it'll be within respective Xbox and respective PlayStation. So like,
and successful?
I think it will be.
Google Stadia is basically going out of business.
True, but I feel like that's just because of Google. Google is a very successful company, but they're dipping their toes in something they don't quite understand. Yeah. And it's not that they don't understand the technical aspect of it, because obviously they do. It's more so they don't understand their consumers. Whereas PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, they already have so many years experience with the consumers. I mean, one could say Xbox One doesn't, because of obviously their horrible launch when the console come out. But they bounce back from it, I think that they have. Me personally, especially with the Game Pass and the Games of Gold and the EA Play, I honestly feel like they've bounced back from that. I don't know what the sales look like for the Series X and the PS5. I haven't even checked. I'm not even curious. I don't care, honestly, because I just don't really play games much anymore. But I think that's the way our future's heading, is everything will be streamed, and that'll cut down on, hard drive space that you need. It can cut down on time to download the game, so you don't have to pre-download it when the game launches. As technology increases, so do internet speeds, because, Charter's introductory speed right now is like 100 megabyte download, which is crazy. Because when Charter first come out, when cable was a first thing, it was like, oh God, I think it was like 10 megabytes a second or something like that. Or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not even that. I don't remember, but it was a long time ago.
When I first moved here in 2011, I mean, I had AT&T DSL, and I was running like 4 up, 1 down. Like we're talking about, or 4 down, 1 up. I apologize. We're talking about complete, and we were running basically the same internet, you and I both. And it's amazing the differences then. And we're only talking, 9 or 10 years, and you got Elon Musk and old Bezos. Can't say he's not over Amazon anymore. He stepped down, but they're talking about launching.
He's still there. He's just not the CEO.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, like, I think he's focused on things like this, where they're talking about doing that. Have you heard about Elon Musk's Starlink, where he's trying to do the low internet? Yeah, and he's saying it's better than anything that's out today.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but
well, I looked at the pricing, and I'm worried because it costs $100 today, and then you have to pay for the hardware, which is like $500. So like the total overall price right away is like almost $1,000. So I don't know. He's saying that it doesn't require any wires to your house, and it's not like normal satellites, because apparently the satellites are below the clouds, so it's not impacted by rain or cloudy days or anything like a normal satellite. It's kind of crazy.
Well, here's my thing. I've been with Charter now for about 6 years or so, give or take. And I feel like, yeah, I could have faster speed, but I don't need it. And that's why I've been on 100 megabytes now since I started with Charter.
Yeah,
I don't need to go up into the, 500 gigabytes per second. I don't need it. I mean, yeah, if I'm downloading a 300 gigabyte game or something, it would take me, it might shave off 20 minutes of my total download time, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't need to pay the extra cost to justify it. And, the thing too is when Charter first come out, they had really bad stability issue. Whereas I've had Charter now, and yeah, my internet's gone out a couple times, but it's honestly probably only gone out maybe 6 to 10 times, in a period of 5-6 years. I mean, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. And it's probably mostly because all the work they're doing around your house. Like, I mean, shit happens, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not blaming Charter when the internet drops and stays off. I mean, maybe if it drops connection and then reboots itself, which it don't even do that. Normally when it drops, it drops for a couple minutes and then it'll come back, or it'll drop forever. And then I got to call them and figure out what's going on.
Yeah. I think I've had them, I guess, a couple months. I don't remember how long I've had them now, for like 4 or 5 months. But previously I didn't have hardly ever any. Oh, I guess I had a couple issues, but it's usually because there was a situation in my area where they were doing work or something, I've only had 2 situations since I got them back. And you keep calling them Charter. They're called Spectrum these days, right? Just for clarification purposes.
Well, it's still Charter because it's called Charter Spectrum.
Yeah. Well, don't they call themselves Spectrum these days? I don't know. Yeah, but I'm with you. They'll always be Charter to me. Damn it,
Yeah.
But
I think it's only back to the point at hand. I'm not gonna go out and spend that kind of money on something that's not tested, not proven, and that I don't really need. It's like I could go and get internet through Charter. I mean, not Charter. God, that's stupid.
You already have that.
I know.
Bud.
What I was getting to was I could go and get cell phone service from Charter. But here's the thing. Yeah. I've been with Verizon for so freaking long now. I pay $45 a month for my cell phone bill, and I've really haven't run into many areas where I don't have service. And as far as like paying my bill and stuff and like customer service and all that crap, I haven't had many problems with them. So, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yep. Don't go wandering off trying to find something new. The grass isn't always greener on the other side.
It's almost never greener on the other side. So, yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just one of those things where it's like, I think that as video games continue to evolve, I do think that mobile games are going to grow. I think that I don't know how, because obviously you don't. I mean, there are games out there that are as in depth as a Destiny or something like that, and
Well, not
you
even
can
that.
play a
You look at where they're at now, where Microsoft's pushing like its xCloud to where you can
Yeah.
play on the phone, and you can even link up a freaking Xbox controller to your phone.
Yep. Yeah, I can do that now. Yeah, through Bluetooth. Yeah, it's crazy. I was playing. I mentioned I played Shining Force, and I mean it's still a little laggy just because of the inputs aren't exact. You know what I'm saying? But you're also playing a game that came out in like 1991 and expecting it to have the same reaction times, maybe as like with an Xbox controller in your hand over internet service or cell phone service or whatever.
Yeah.
So. But I do agree that it's going to keep going that way, right? Eventually, it's going to get to the point where I don't know that we'll necessarily need. Eventually, you got to think it's going to go to the point where we don't use consoles, right? Like, I don't know how far away we are from there, but eventually, right? Like, it's going to be where it's almost all handheld. I mean, you got to think that's the future, right?
I don't think we'll ever make it there, just because if you look even at today's current technology, PCs are still obviously obliterating consoles. And if you look at the size of a computer, I mean, you can see why. You can fit better and bigger hardware in a PC.
But we're also talking about basically two totally different classifications of people who play video games.
I mean, yeah, if you want to go down that road, then for sure mobile gaming will end up probably overtaking console gaming, just because as younger generations come of age, that's going to be what it's at. I mean, shoot, in 10 years, cell phones may not even be as popular as they are now. We could be like, you remember the whole Google Glass thing?
Yeah.
That failed?
Yeah.
I mean, it could come back.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, we really don't know.
You're an Elon Musk fan. I'm sure you've heard information about his brain chip that he wants to put in people. I mean, shoot,
Fuck that.
I'm not arguing with you, but I'm just saying it could be something to where that could be the future, where you got a device, you got a device that bridges the gap between human interaction and machine interaction.
Yeah.
We don't know.
That thing is wild. Supposedly it's to help you sort of be able to like hit all of your cylinders, so to speak, to help increase your brain functions.
Yeah.
And to help the elderly, especially, as they lose brain function as they get older. I don't know though, I'm not so sure about it. That scares the hell out of me personally, just because what happens if it fucks up, like,
well, for me, it's not even that. It's more so a matter for me. It's like, I understand how people can hack shit. Yeah. And I'd be damned if I'm going to put a Bluetooth connection in my brain for someone to fucking hack it. And then what are they going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, is someone going to be able to control my body when they hack it? Are they going to be able to delete memories from my brain? Are they going to be able to just render my eyesight useless? Because if Elon Musk said that this chip can help anybody that has a disease that is related to the brain, so like if you're blind, obviously, your eyeballs connect to your brain. So if they put this chip in there, then you can see again. What's to stop the reversal from that? What's to stop someone from hacking my Bluetooth or Wi-Fi signal?
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So I'm like you. I'll be passing on the old chimp implant.
Yeah, especially considering it'll probably cost like $1 million or so.
It could be free, and I still wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's like those people that are they're taking tickets to go to Mars, and it's like fuck that, man. Like I don't want to spend 3 years. I don't know how long it actually takes to get to Mars, so I'm not going to say. But it's like years.
Well, here's my issue. I'm broke on Earth. I'm still going to be broke on Mars. So what's the frickin' point?
Yeah. But I'm like, I don't want to sit in a damn spaceship with all these assholes I don't want to be around for 3 years. Get the hell out of here, no thanks. And I don't even know if you'll make it, right? Like their rockets are still exploding in our atmosphere, so who knows?
Well, I mean, we're still a long ways from that. They still have to terraform Mars and all kinds of stuff, but we are getting way off topic at hand here. So let's bring it on back to the future of gaming here. The future of
Well, that's the
gaming.
future of the world.
We're going to be playing video games on Mars with our
On
brain
Mars,
chips.
motherfucker. Yeah. But yeah, so I definitely think that as a whole, so we're talking about, like I said, we were talking about two totally different groupings of people. And I do believe that there'll be less of the middle, which is where I would kind of put consoles, right? They're the middle. They're like that bridge between cell phones and PCs,
yeah.
right? It's like that bridge between the two. And I think that as things go more advanced, right? So we're talking about, PC gaming has always been popular, but I feel like it's gaining popularity again. Obviously, as you can't buy fucking anything that relates to a PC right now. As those continue to go in the direction where they start to gain more people, I feel like you're going to push the casual fan out. I mean, it just is what it is, right? Like, not everybody has $23 to $25, $3, $5, $10,000 to put into a PC. It's almost not worth it to buy a $500 PC. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not.
Nah, you need to do at least like say $1,000 tower to get better frame rates than a console. I mean, you could spend $500 on a PC and play,
but you might as well buy a console.
Yeah, I mean, you could play games at 1080 on lower graphic settings and still get 60 FPS. But at that point, it's like you said, why do that unless you're just planning on upgrading parts, as you can get money and get past that 60 FPS gap? Because, one thing people don't talk about is the whole PC versus console thing. Is all these games that are on console is pretty much the same equivalent to playing a game on PC at medium or high graphics. Whereas in PC land, everyone talks about, I get this amount of FPS on ultra settings, which there's no game on console that runs on ultra settings. It's just, you can't do it,
Yeah. Well, and that person playing that $500 PC rig versus someone who's in a $25,000 to $5,000 PC rig, it's almost a disadvantage. Or not almost, it is a disadvantage because you're not going to be able to run the same frame rates, the same settings, the same anything. So, like I said, it's almost better off just stick with the consoles at that point. But I think that it'll cause the rift where the consoles will have less people playing them. And then because mobile gaming, even if it's a tablet, but mobile gaming in general, will continue to grow, and it'll kind of like, they'll create a bigger gap, and then the middle will shrink. Whereas it used to be mobile gaming and PC gaming were like smaller portions, and then the middle was all your consoles. And I think it's going to level out where your consoles probably, what do we see sales? So sales of the last generation was about 150 million. The year before, what previous was like 170, because they're both at like 86, 87.
Well, you got to look at another factor too, cell phone advancement. In the last 10 years, where was I 10 years ago? It was 20, 22.
10 years ago.
I don't even know how
I was moving here. Yeah. I was moving here. We're 20, 21, 22.
So an iPhone 4 was the phone at the time. I think I had a Droid X at that time. All right, let's go back another 10 years. Let's go back 20 years in cell phones. I would have been 10? Yeah.
12?
They didn't even have cell phones back then, really. They had
2008?
They had the
Nokias? Yeah, the Nokias, I think.
They had the big bulky ones, like not the 80s big bulky ones, but ones that only did like text, calling, and emails. That was it. Didn't even have MP3 players in them.
Oh. Hell, they didn't have MP3 players in them until like 2009.
I'm just saying, look at where
I'm saying, yeah.
I'm just saying, look at where we're at now. I mean, I'll give you an example right now that's completely comparable. If anybody out there is a Twitch streamer or a Mixer or whatever you stream, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be, you have to have a webcam to do that. Well, believe it or not, your current phone probably has a better camera on it than a dedicated webcam. And we're talking about something that you go out and spend $200 on that's strictly to do one thing, and that's take video and send that information to your computer.
Yep.
Your cell phone that everybody has, well, almost everybody has, probably has a better camera on it than your purpose-specific built item does. which is just stupid.
Yeah.
It shouldn't work that way. I mean, if you go out and buy something that is solely dedicated to be a camera or video device, it should be better than what's on your phone, considering what all your phone can actually do. Because your phone's a camera, it's a phone, it texts, it emails, it does web pages, MP3 player. It's a miniature computer in your pocket.
Yeah, man. And I just feel like it's 10 years from now. Like I said, it might be a point where, we already know. We basically agree that streaming is the way to go. Like that's where it's going to be that way, where there's no more installing games. You're just going to play them as you want over the cloud, man. Oh, it's all over the cloud, man. So it's just one of those where we'll be seeing, like I said, where I think that you'll still have that pocket of people who want that high end experience. But I think for the normal casual gamer, I really truly believe that mobile gaming is going to take over and push a lot of the console gaming just down. Like it's so much more difficult for me to sit in front of a TV and play a console game than it is for me to load up, the current game that I play, which I am almost embarrassed now because of how badly it's ran right now. But Marvel Strike Force is the game that I play. It's my game. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes was my game before that, and those are the games that I can play in spurts at times, and then I can go back to being a dad and a husband and focus on the things that I have to, or just a guy running my store, just whatever. I can do these things and multitask and do more than one thing at a time. You can't really do that on consoles unless you're playing certain games, like you're playing Madden, I guess,
Yeah, any game with a pause button.
Yeah, where the pause button actually works, where it actually pauses, right? So, yeah, I don't think that we're going to go in a direction where we'll be sitting down with a controller in our hands playing more video games. I just don't see that happening. No, you are not getting a phone call. We're still rolling, but it's question time. It's that time. It's that time one more time. It's question time. If money was no object, what would you do all day, bud?
That's actually a good question, and it's hard for me to answer. I would probably just be driving around all the different cars that I would own, and back roads, mountain roads, that kind of stuff. Like one day I'd be in my Corvette, next day I'd be in my McLaren, next day I'd be in my Lamborghini, next day I'd be in my smart car. Past that, I don't know. I just never really thought about that. Caught me flat-footed on that question. What about you? Your answer's probably better.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it's better. In my mind, the way I process this question is, if money was no object, what would you do all day? In my mind, I think a lot of it, I'd go back to being a kid. One thing that I would do is try to convince all my buddies. We'd buy a bunch of land. We'd all live in our own little small community. Not like a commune, a community. And we would, just revert back to being kids. You don't have to worry about all the bullshit and all the stuff that comes with life. You'd be able to just explore this potentially untouched land. Like, how cool is that? Like, just being able to be that first person to touch. I'm sure we aren't, but in my mind, I could act like a kid again and just pretend I was the first person to explore this part of this world, or this part of this land or whatever. And I think that I'd be doing that. I'd be just enjoying life, trying to get the most out of it instead of worrying about making ends meet or whatever's going on today. And yeah, I think that there's an opportunity there to, make a lot of people happy as well. Because I wouldn't want it to be all for myself. I'd want to share it with everybody.
Yeah, like I said, your answer was better than mine. And now that question time is done, let's get back to the show. Well, it won't happen on my end because I traded in my sticks for a KBM, keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's basically where we're going, right? Because unfortunately,
everything's going crossplay now.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that you've already half proven the point, right? Why have something that you can only do one thing with it and one thing only, and there's things that have multiple uses and it can do it better? Mm-hmm. That's your computer, your home rig, your home PC. That is what it is. It can do everything that a console can do. It does everything better And then it has more options and more things that you can do as well. So it just has the ability to just give you more option. And then obviously we can't avoid a phone. Like, again, not everybody has one, and maybe they're better off to not have one because, life was so much more simpler back then. But, at this point, it's like I couldn't imagine not having a cell phone, especially with the way the world works and the way we communicate with, vendors and people and just in general how we communicate in this world. It's just amazing to think how world would be without it. And I think that the video game world will eventually come around. I think a lot of people are starting to realize you can make a lot of money. And their price points on their stuff's even worse, Like
our whole world is full of advertisements now.
Yeah, and it's and we pay to get rid of them. That's the funny thing, right? Like we've been going off on a lot of tangents here, and I appreciate it because it's more like we're just talking here, and
we're free balling right now.
Yeah, so it's like I pay Hulu to not give me ads. Like I pay for it. I would prefer to never see an ad, but even then, you still see ads. So it doesn't matter. Like it's just one of those things where it's like, it's everywhere. But it's amazing what they'll charge you for these days.
Yeah,
they charge you to get rid of the ads. They charge you to, they create artificial bottlenecks and then make you spend money to get through those bottlenecks. And maybe a lot of that stuff will be weaseled out as more people play and as more, I don't want to say legit because all these publishers and developers are still legit. But when like maybe the new. What is it called? The Diablo game, Immortals. I doubt Blizzard will be the one, or not Blizzard, but Activision, right? Will be the one that'll tell us, or will be virtue signaling on like how not to price point people. But one can hope that they will show a good initiative to price point things properly, right?
Sure. Well, here's the problem: is like you just said, how everything nowadays is like. I mean. Getting back to video games, when you make a video game and you're already planning DLCs before that game is launched, there's an issue with that. At a consumer standpoint, there's an issue with that. But at a business standpoint, you're trying to figure out how to milk this title or project for as much money as you possibly can. And if that means planning for future DLCs or taking it to the extreme and making it a pay-to-win game, like Diablo 3 in the auction house. That's just our world now, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And I feel like the consumer base is trying to fight so desperately against it. But the funny part is the consumers is what made it happen in the first place. But we just did it without even thinking about it, and now it's just the normal. And now we're trying to fight back against it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that's wild. Like, we set the prices, right? If you don't buy it, they'll change the prices. I promise. Because a great example, like Marvel Strike Force, okay? A new character release, and they release 3 characters a month, okay? New character release. Now, there's other ways to get them, but if you want them the day they release, they're either $50 or $25 to unlock the character. Okay. That price point's been set there because people buy this price point, right?
That's
now,
strong.
if nobody, So imagine being the guy who, let's just say all 3 characters that were released this month were all $50 characters. That's $150 you spent this month to unlock 3 characters on a mobile game, to unlock 3 characters. That is insane. I think my monthly spending's like, I don't know, $7, maybe depends.
See, and that's how they get you with mobile games.
Yeah,
your purchase may only be $2 this month, or $3 the next month, or $2 again. But when you multiply that across, say, 50,000, 100,000 active players, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
even for a free to play game, I mean, it covers the cost to make the game. More
100%.
More so than someone like me, that if you're like, hey man, download this game, and say this game costs $10, I ain't downloading it. No way.
Right. Yeah, I'm not paying $10 for any mobile game that I have no idea. I don't even want to buy Minecraft, and I know what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like $7, $8. I'm not buying that, even though I know what I'm getting. You know?
I mean, you know me. I mean, it takes an act of Congress just to get me to download a free game to play.
Yeah, and get you to play it for more than 3 minutes. Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of it is just fun. I mean, there are people I know that have played, like, for example, Marvel Strike Force and haven't spent a dime, and they're not any further ahead or any further behind. It's all about being able to manage your resources. And I mean, that's basically every game on mobile right now that's successful is a resource management game anyway. And I'm not good at managing anything when it comes to resources. I like to spend it.
Because you're a manager in real life.
Well, in my real life, I'm different, right? Like, you know, that's different. But in this one, and this is compulsiveness, right? Like, this is minus like it's like the completionist in me that doesn't want to leave characters unbuilt, for example, like that sort of stuff. But yes, I'm very compulsive when it comes to this, and that's why the game gets me every time when it comes to. But maybe, like, you know, like they have like 99-cent offers where you can get an orb or something, and it'll give you like some gold or whatnot. And those get me almost every time, just because it's like what's a fucking dollar, man? Like, you spent $8, not you, but people in general.
I'm gonna make sure to tell your wife you're spending the household budget on all these mobile games.
I think she might be blowing the budget on this mobile games, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, she plays too. So she's worse than me. At this point.
Oh, so both of you spending all this money. So your cell phone bill is a lot more than it should be.
No. Well, thank God it goes through Apple. So no, it doesn't go to my cell. You know, back in the day, it used to go to your cell phone bill.
Yeah. But so you spend like $20 a month and you wouldn't realize it until the bill dropped.
Yeah, that was the worst ever, right?
Like, I got a $200 phone bill. What the hell happened?
Yeah, no, they charge my ass on the spot these days through Apple Pay. I'll get that shit quick. But I mean, even still, like, I think about it this way: like, I play the game, I don't know, 3 to 5 hours a day, just like, you know, intermittently. If that, I mean, that's worth $1 a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, like how much do you think you spent on Smite throughout the last, I don't know, couple months? Because I know their tiers and their pricing's not the same, so they don't release as much in terms of like characters and that sort of stuff. But for example, I guess
in the last couple months, I've probably spent maybe $20 on that game. But in the lifetime that I've been playing Smite, I've probably got about $300 in it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the founder thing, when it first released, right, it gave you access to every character that was going to be future release, right?
Yeah, and that was just a $30 flat fee. But
right,
it gave you the option to play the game, get favor, and unlock those gods, or even rent them at a much lower cost. So you could rent a god for like a day or 5 days, get a feel for them. Then if you liked them, you could permanently unlock them. And this wasn't one of those things like how most games are where you can do that, but it takes the grind is too much to do it. Like Smite, you could play about, I don't know, I'd probably say about 5 to 10 matches and have enough favor or currency to unlock a god. But there's, 100 gods in the game now. So it's like, you're just better off buying the $30 if it's a game that you're going to play.
And I think that's cool. They've kept that pack, right? Like,
it's still $30.
Yeah, that whole point of that pack was to build revenue and to build money so they could continue to develop the game. I mean, that it was released before the game was released, I'm pretty sure. Like, hey, listen, it was basically a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a free-to-play game, you got to have a source of income somehow.
Yeah, and that's I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. And that's how, was that how Fortnite started, actually? I think that's how Fortnite did it, too, was you could buy founder packs. I know a lot of games did that for a while there. It was like for like a 2-3 year span there. Like every game, it seemed like was offering like a founder pack to give you access, basically like what a Kickstarter does. Like, if you help us out, we'll give you access to better stuff for the duration. You know.
Mm-hmm. It's also not really to be confused with some games, and they have like the pre-order bonuses that give you gear. Like if it's cosmetic, that's cool. I'm cool with that. Like, yeah. I'll go ahead and upfront pay $60 for this game to get the gold-plated sword or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it kind of takes me back to that Destiny day when you're like, oh, this
Mhm.
dude's got a gold plated sword. How'd you get that? Like, sorry, bro,
Yep.
you can't get it no more. It's pre-order
Yeah.
bonus. That means I'm an OG to this game. But the problem lies for me when it's a sword that is the most broken sword in the freaking game.
Yep.
And you had to spend real money to get it. That's where my issue lies with a lot of people's, and it's understandable why, because it becomes a pay to win game at that point, and nobody wants to spend $60 on a game and then more money to be the best at the game.
Or not having a pathway to get there. Like, it's one thing to be like, to cater to whales, which is what the, high people who spend a lot of money on video games. It's one thing to cater to whales and be like, hey, these guys are like in this tier by themselves, and number one, and then all the trickle down effect will allow these guys in the second tier, which would be like me, maybe, or maybe even the third tier, whatever, will be broken down. Like the whales are the top tier, and then like your, whatever. I don't know the number, everything else, but
your extreme players that still play legit.
Yeah, and then but they're in that group that they probably don't have the either. A, they don't want to spend that kind of money, or B, they just don't have it available and they just enjoy the game, but they still have the ability to get it. Like, okay, I always use Marvel because it's the one I play, Marvel Strike Force, but they purposely don't want to make it easy for people to get what they call quote unquote legendary characters on the first go. They want the whales to be able to pay to get them. That way they can fund for the next quarter until they release another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes sense to me. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being the top player. But like you said, there's a difference between being a top player and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a video game and being a middle tier player and not having the ability to ever access to that next tier. You know what I'm saying? Like, and being blocked off because of a paywall, or the ability to be able to pay money or have to spend a certain amount of money to be able to reach those tiers to be successful.
Right. The guy that plays, say, 80 hours a week in a video game should be top rank. So if you got the option to where a guy that plays 5 hours a week, but he pays his way to be number one, that's an issue with me. That shouldn't be a thing.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. I don't think that there should be ability. Now, if it was a situation where it was like leveling doesn't matter so much in some things, but like if you're gonna pay somebody $100, $200 to level you to level cap, I don't fucking care. Like, whatever. Because at the end of the day, in certain games, like, obviously not in every game, but skill matters too. And I think that's one thing that we kind of that video games in general have gotten away from, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to know your character anymore. Like, I mean, obviously Smite does have that, right? You can't just play, maybe you can, but you can't just play a brand new, like, go into a ranked match or whatever. I don't know what they call them. I sound like a fucking idiot, but like, you can't go into like a ranked match with a god you've never played and expect to be 100% successful.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you wouldn't be, but like, you still have to know the character and how the character works and what the character is good at.
And it's all about counter picking too. So, the more gods you have experience with and that you're comfortable with and that you're better with, the better counter plays that you can do as you're picking teams. If you only master one character, then you may be good at that one character, but as far as forming a team, like a team comp, as far as like, these three guys have this and these three guys do this, it's hard for you to counter the other team. And that's how a lot of these top ranked teams work. They counter pick each other, and they're good with the people that they counter pick with. Most people, in top tier games, they're good with everybody. They don't have a main character. They're just awesome with everybody. Whereas in me and Smite, there's 100 characters in that game, and I'm really damn good with about 15 of them. Yeah. And I'm okay with probably 50 of them. And then the other 50, I know enough about the game to what I'm doing if I have a good team behind me to kind of carry me. But I just don't play those other 50, not that I can't. It's just, they're not I'm just not very good with them. They don't tailor to my personal play style.
Yep. Well, I wish that games would probably, I guess in my mind, I wish there was a game that was more, I guess Destiny to an extent did it, but they just couldn't capitalize on being successful. But I think that everything about Smite, without the gameplay, because I just don't enjoy the gameplay, Everything
It's 'cause-
about Smite is
'Cause you don't
amazing.
it's because you don't understand the gameplay.
Yeah. And I mean, I can watch people play it, and
And you
I
still
get
won't
the
know
concepts, but I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I mean, even if you watch people play it, you still won't
Yeah.
understand the mechanics
Yeah.
of a MOBA. Like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, these little minions walk up to each other, and then the minions fight, and then
Yeah.
the enemy teams are fighting each other's gods. Like, I don't get it because you don't
Yeah.
understand those little mechanics. Like,
Yeah.
for an example, if you're close to a minion wave and you hit an enemy god, that minion wave aggroes or starts hitting you, and you may not understand why. Well, if you're an advanced player, then you can use that to your knowledge. Be like, okay, this guy's low health. If I'm gonna try to bait his jump to where he uses his escape to initiate, and then the minions are gonna fuck him up, and then I'm gonna fuck him up. So that's almost a guaranteed kill, and that's all it is. It's basically mind play once you figure out the game. But you not knowing anything about the game, you're just in there to push buttons and aim your abilities.
And
And that's
hopefully
it.
hit somebody. Yep. Yeah. But the concept of the game and everything, like obviously there's intricacies in every, well, not in every game, but most games, and like just for Smite in general, the concept, like there's always fine tuning. They're always adding new gods, as they call them. They're always doing things to try to make. I mean, obviously there's things that I'm sure it's broke at times. You know, I'm sure there's there's times where it didn't work out. Or they had to patch, or they had to fix something, or they realized that a character's out of balance, or whatever.
Mhm.
Shit happens, man. But at least they're making the attempt. And if it was more in my play style, more things that I liked, maybe that would be like, something whatever. But like, for example, Neverwinter, unfortunately, they hide stuff behind their paywall. Like, you don't have access to certain things that you need to continue to get to that next gear tier, or that next tier where you have to be successful. And I get
like
it.
Destiny
but it's just
before they
frustrating.
fix that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And well, I struggle with, I guess, Destiny too in a lot of ways because of the leveling system and the gear system anyway. But
I'm saying,
yeah,
like, you know how the DLCs back in the day, like, they'd up the level cap, but you couldn't get there without the gear from the DLC. So they claimed that you could achieve the level cap without buying the DLC, but that was just a blatant lie.
Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah, I get so frustrated with a lot of the stuff anyway, and I guess you could do that now. Like, in theory, I guess you could run through it if you really wanted to without on the strictly free to play and do it. But I don't know if I buy that 100%.
I don't even know if you can, to be honest with you. I've never tried.
Yeah, I don't care to even bother.
I just beat the campaign at this point, and I'm done with it.
Yeah. Is there any games you're looking forward to, or anything that maybe in the near future? I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but anything that you're looking forward to in the future, or anything that video game wise that I mean, obviously Diablo 4 is on all of our horizons, and even the remake for Diablo 2 is on both of our horizons. Is something we're interested in.
Yeah, those are definitely in my list, especially the Diablo 2 remake. The only other game that's not in that list that I've seen that looks like it could be fun is Outriders. And once again, it's that 3v, or not 3v3, but that 3-man team. You know, it's a shooter, but it's loot based. So it's, from what people have been saying online, it's supposed to be a hybrid of Destiny and Borderlands, which I've been told this before, with Anthem. So I really hope this game doesn't flop, because, I really want to get a good game and get back to like that social experience. Or
for sure.
The game that come out, it was called Godfall. It was a PlayStation exclusive and a PC exclusive. Like, it'll be on Xbox sometime in the future. That game, to me, was going to be my next game that I sunk a lot of time into. And the problem is with that game, there's just no content for it. The game itself was fun. I played it. I've probably got me and Paul, we probably got about 30 or 40 hours in it. Maybe not even that much. But we've done everything there is to do.
Yeah, that's what's sad, man. Is that they just didn't put it. I guess a part of it, like, if you have to consistently be adding content, like, you have to find ways to continue to interact and make your player base feel wanted and feel needed and feel like they are contributing to something. The only other game I'm interested to see what Diablo Immortals does. I mean, who knows what it is? I don't know yet, but I'm interested.
About the mobile game?
Yeah, I'm into it. Like,
I don't
me,
give two shits.
I'm more of a mobile guy at this point anyway, just because it's like it's more for me. It's more on the go. I'm curious. Like it's got me curious. And if it's good, maybe it'll replace Marvel Strike Force. And I can go to hell. Go talk to Ball. Go talk to Ball. Yeah, it's just one of the things. This is what it is, man. I don't know. I think that it has potential, though. I think that some people got pissed off because it wasn't what they wanted. But if it's done correctly, it doesn't mean that it could be a bad version of anything. So definitely something I'm interested in. I don't have time to really read about a lot of video games these days, but definitely the Diablos. Who knows when 4 will be released, or even the remake of 2.
4 is a long way.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Like I don't expect to see that game until at least 2 years minimum.
Yeah, and so I'm okay you would imagine. Yeah, I wanted to be right. Like, don't fuck it up again.
Yeah.
don't have a Diablo 3 repeat, please. I don't know that I'll ever buy another Blizzard game if that happens,
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with them announcing a game and then it not coming out for another 4 or 5 years. But
yeah,
give me some content every now and then, or give me like your roadmap to keep me intrigued and interested in the game before it fizzles out. Like, for example, Anthem. Anthem said that they were working on their 2.0 release. Okay, that's fine, and I'm not so burnt off on the game that I'm not willing to give it another shot because, like I said, Anthem at its core was a fun game. I didn't have much problems with the mechanics of the game. The gameplay engine was good. Flying around was fun. It was just the content. Doing the same mission over and over and over was not fun, and the gear was just it was not what they said it was going to be. And then they realized that they messed up, which is cool, At least they admit their faults, that they dropped the ball, even though they shouldn't have released it to begin with. But at least they knew. They're not like Destiny, like you said earlier. They're trying to make an excuse for everything. They announced that they're going to do like a 2.0 version, And if they ever charge money for that, that's the end of the line for me. So it has to be free. Surely they know that. But when it comes out, I'm not closed off to not playing it. The problem is, they announced that like what, a year and a half ago or something like that. I haven't heard a peep on it since.
Yeah, it's a scary thing out there for that sort of stuff. How hard is it to say, like you said, the game product should be good and you should have that in place. But how hard is it to be like, hey, after the game is released, have an idea of how long it should take to consume this content? Obviously, you can't constantly be making content for the top 5, top 1%, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But you should be able to say, hey, okay, so you guys have finished this. The top 1%, anyway, is done in, let's just say 3 months, but I rated this content was going to take 6 months to get through, right? And then have a roadmap. Like you said, how hard is it to put a roadmap? Hey, the rest of this year, we're looking to release 3 more smaller DLCs that are going to add 5 story missions each, whatever. Like, how hard is it to say this? How hard is it? It can be subject to change. Like, it doesn't have to be the same. He doesn't have to stay those 5 missions. Maybe it's only 4. Maybe you didn't need that 5th mission. Because I'd rather you not give me 5 missions just cause and make me run to the other side of something that is absolutely irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's just like, I think that communication has always been important. I just think that it's getting to the point that it's becoming so important, especially as people want to be a part of things. And when we talk about video games in general, there's a lot of passion involved, especially when get you going on Smite or some other games that you're super passionate about right now.
Oh, sure.
It's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, but you feel connected. You feel a part of a community. You feel like, you're doing something, even if it's, it's everyone say, but it's just a video game. Listen, it's not just a video game. Okay. I think everybody's
not when people are making livelihoods off this and they have their own like Twitch communities, some of these streamers, their chat, that's their friends. That's their family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everybody, you got to think about it from other people's perspectives. there's some people out there, they don't have any family. They don't have any friends.
Yep.
You know, they
Yep.
are their own friend. And some people aren't even their own friend. So you got to think about it. Not everybody's cut from the same cloth. You know, not everybody's got 50 friends. It's like today's time, you know, however many people you got on your Facebook list is how cool you are. Like,
yeah.
I wish people would stop trying to compare everything. Like, you don't have to upload every single thing that you do in your life. You don't need attention from it. You don't need acceptance from. I could maybe
you don't even really know.
I can maybe see it when you want acceptance from people that you know.
Yeah.
My issue stems with people that do this for people that they don't know.
Yep. Yeah, I've always been. I was an asshole about a lot of that stuff, in my own younger days. But for me, man, it's all about just like spreading good vibrations, good love, good laughs, man. I don't care about none of that crap no more. I think that as a whole, the internet was supposed to bring us closer together so that we could have more laughs and enjoy each other, be able to meet people from, you know, you're from the heart of North Carolina, you know, a Bible Belt state that, you know, there's people that I've met in North Carolina that, for example, hadn't met a black person until like 1970. Okay. There's still communities in this country that have never met a black person, just as an example, you know what I'm saying? Or any other, have no diversity whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it's like the whole point of the internet was to give us the ability to have diversity and to be able to kind of like get to know people of different creeds and, or even just get to know more people that are similar to you. It doesn't have to necessarily be super diverse, but it gives you the ability to get to know people who have the same, that you have a commonality with. And instead, all we do is we bicker, bitch, moan, and complain, and we don't enjoy nothing. No. It's like the exact opposite of what the whole point was. And I'm sure we could probably rant about that just on the fucking podcast topic all on its own. But I'll give you any closing thoughts before we move on. We've been here for quite a while.
We definitely done a lot more freeballing on this episode than our others. So y'all can enjoy that one. Closing thoughts. I feel like this generation is probably going to be my last, like, as far as consoles go. Like I said, the Series X has been out now for a couple months. I've had no thought of even buying it because I have a PC now. And even the Xbox One console, I mean, y'all can tell by my games list. I mean, I have maybe 10 or 12 games on the whole list. Like, as these episodes air, you'll notice that my list just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That's not to say anything that video games are getting worse or anything, but it's also the decline of maybe video games becoming oversaturated on top of me growing up as a person, you know, because I'm 32 years old right now. So if I have the same podcast episode 10 years from now, I may not even be playing video games at all anymore, period. I mean, who knows? I don't know where I'll be 10 years from now. I don't think I'll give up video games completely. I mean, I'll probably be an 80-year-old man still playing video games, but I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's this console would probably just have to be my last. And I think it did well more on the aspect of everything else that it does rather than playing video games. Like, they market it as the Xbox One, and that whole one principle was to try and hook up your cable box and your DVD players and your Blu-ray players and all that stuff and run them through the Xbox and have everything be an all-in-one entertainment system, more so than PlayStation just being a PlayStation. PlayStation never advertised itself as, you know, this unit that does all this extra shit. PlayStation marketed their device as a gaming console, which is what they've done since day one. And they did it, you know. PlayStation 4, it had the better tech specs, it had the better games. Obviously, it whipped Xbox's ass in sales, you know, more than double. So, you know what I mean? I mean, the PlayStation definitely won, hands down, landslide victory. Nintendo, the Wii U, obviously it didn't go over so hot. Probably had a little bit to do with like the whole controller design and the console design. Because I don't think the Switch did that bad. What was it, 68 million? Yeah, so
yep.
the Switch did very well once they got away from all that kind of stupid stuff. Nintendo with the Wii U, they were probably trying to replicate the Wii, and I just don't think it worked. But then they got a bad one under the belt, and then they come out with the Switch and they knocked it out of the park, and they're right back to doing Nintendo things, So yeah, with that being said, I think that the Xbox is just I think it's kind of played out for me, because I only use it now pretty much for a Netflix and HBO Max, YouTube, that's pretty much all it is. I know it's kind of weird because I still pay money for Xbox Live just to have all these things when I shouldn't have to spend that to do it, but it's just so easy to use. And like I said, I've got thousands of dollars in movies and videos in Xbox Live Marketplace. To have everything on that one console, it's worth the $50, $60 a year or whatever the hell I'm paying now. And like I said, the Game Pass, even though I don't play games as much as I should, I have it on there in case maybe a game comes out that I do want to play. Or maybe I have a couple homies come over and we just need to play like a pretty cool split screen game. And, that's why I put Monopoly on that list, because Monopoly is not a AAA title by any means, but it's a very fun game. If you're just, got a bunch of buddies over and you're drinking and shooting the shit, you can kind of run Monopoly in the background, or Uno, or those kind of games, and have some laughs with that classic board game that's now a video game. That about wraps up my thoughts on it. What about you?
Yeah, well, to be honest, we kind of agree. Like I'm pretty sure I told you before the Series X was even released that I have zero interest in it. That doesn't mean that my kids may not get one of these fancy consoles in the future, but I think that my console days are basically done. Like I may still, as long as they continue support for Xbox One, I'll still, if there's a new game that I like, I might still buy it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy a new console or continue in that way. I think in a lot of ways, I think that I'll eventually have no choice but to buy a PC. We've already talked about that. Yeah, me and you have already had this conversation and kind of mapped that out. That's something in the future, of course. And I think that mobile gaming for me, in terms of like gaming, is kind of where I'm going to probably be at for a while. It's just like I said, it's just something that fits me better. I still pay for Xbox Live. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it. I mean, it fits my needs perfectly. It gives me access to a lot of things. I mean, I do use a Fire Stick.
Well, see, that's the other thing too. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're both. I use the word established adults at this point. We both make decent money to support our lifestyles, so it's not a matter of we can't afford the consoles. It's just we don't see a reason in spending $500 for something that we're not going to use.
100%. Yeah. Mine isn't a matter of not being able to. Yeah, definitely. It's not that we can't afford them. It's that you have to, at the end of the day, you have to justify the cost. Like to be a responsible adult, you shouldn't be just throwing around $500 any which way just because.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll me and you'll be like in Step Brothers. At the end of Step Brothers when they're talking about their mortgage rate and how they got a tight back or whatever. That's going to be us, in a couple months, I guess.
With pirate hats in the boat in the tree.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where it is what it is. You as you grow, you tend to things change. We talk about lawnmowers, or I do, fancy lawnmower. And I like mowing my grass. I like seeing how pretty it is in the middle of spring and summertime.
Yeah, we talk about the cost of land and homeowners insurance and HOAs. How much houses are selling for in different retails as far as like different parts of the nation.
Yeah.
Stuff we would never talk about when we were 20 years old.
Yeah, and it's funny because we used to sit around and just shoot the shit about a lot of things, and it's just kind of amazing, I guess, growth, right? Like as human beings, and that's all awesome. And that's not to say that video games are going away. I just think that the way we consume them is changing. Instead of it being these consoles and I guess doing it that way, it just isn't going to be the case anymore, I think. Who knows, right? Like had Stadia come along now, I think it might have had the opportunity to be more successful. Not that it would or wouldn't, but it would have been more opportunity anyway. But Yeah, my closing thoughts is basically that we always pick the lovable loser, as was proved, except for Nintendo, I guess, back in the early days. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we always picked the lovable loser. Xbox lost Xbox lost every console generation,
Yep.
and but that's
Except
just
for the
what worked for us.
360. It won in America. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can't even say that. I was going to say Xbox One might have, but it's very unlikely.
No.
Very unlikely. So, but yeah, so it's just one of those things where we just got. I guess it's just different. But next week is going to be completely different. We are going to switch topics entirely. We've been talking about video games and video game consoles for, I don't know, 5 weeks, 6 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And next week we're going to start talking about a couple of TV series that we enjoy. Those two are they will be the Arrow series and the Flash series that aired on the CW. We did a lot of thought on, did we want to try to cover each individual episode? And I'm sure there's plenty of podcasts out there that do that. And we decided we didn't really want to go down that route. So we're basically going to try to have a 2 to 3 hour conversation based on kind of each one season at a time, kind of talking about what happened and how that season affected us. Because this is another thing that we enjoyed together. This would eat up our lunchtimes together a lot, talking about what we saw in Arrow and what we saw on the Flash once the Flash came through, after the Arrow was already introduced. And we may mix in some other stuff, but that's going to be the key of what what we're going to basically start off with. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to Arrow, season 1 and at least the first 4 seasons. I don't know if we'll go through all of them, but definitely the first 4 for both, because they're, I guess, like peak as good as it gets. Like it's all watered down now. Like it's amazing to think that we used to watch Arrow and Flash, and you say you still watch Flash to this day. So good, kudos to you. It's been a while for me. The Thinker kind of threw me off there, but we'll get to that one.
Because it required you to think too much.
I guess, yeah. Well, him transforming into all the different bodies and all that, whatever. Anyway, but the first season of Arrow is awesome, and it's going to talk about how he gets rescued off of Lian Yu and how he starts to adapt and adjust to becoming a hero. Yeah, I think he's kind of talked about in the first season, but it's mostly about Mr. Merlin.
He's teased.
Malcolm Merlin. Yeah, he's teased. Season 2 is definitely the best season of Arrow.
Deathstroke.
So that'll be, Deathstroke. He was definitely his best villain. And then Flash the following week, we'll be talking about Reverse Flash and the introduction of Reverse Flash and the crazy little tidbits that they had and how they introduced him, because he was consumed. He became what Tom Cavanaugh's character, Harrison Wells. So it's kind of they're both very unique seasons, and I think they did a good job of kind of fleshing out these characters that I probably wouldn't have liked in any other capacity.
We'll also talk about how stupid the CW is now. Yeah,
my goodness. It's amazing how far they've fallen, right? What's funny is we both have affinities for a lot of CW shows. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
how we shit talk a company that makes stuff that we like, but hey, that's life.
Yeah, it is. And we'll see from there. A lot of it's just trying to we think about this as a platform for us to kind of have conversation, talk about cool things that we enjoy. Video games were a large part of that. That doesn't mean that we won't talk about video games from here on, but we just wanted to move on and talk about some other stuff. And these are 2 TV series that we enjoyed.
Broaden our audience a little bit. Not that we don't love our gamers, but we got to get some more people on board here. Not everybody plays video games, but maybe there's some people out there that watch some comic book shows, and you're going to migrate to some different things other than Flash and Arrow. I mean, we may go down the road of TV shows that are dramas, or we may end up talking about pencils one day or cherry tomatoes. Who knows?
Yeah, you have to be passionate about the things you talk about to be successful or for people to enjoy it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I think a lot of it's just going to be, in the future, we will have roundtable discussions with other friends that we'll be introducing.
Them.
We'll actually be, I don't have a roundtable, but we'll be sitting at a table together, just having a conversation in person. These ones right now haven't been in person; they've been, overdone over Discord.
Yeah, so you might hear some slaps in the room.
Yeah. And in those conversations, there'll be more than one of us. So it'll be the two of us and a friend or two. And we'll just kind of discuss and talk about things that we like. And we may cover some of the stuff we've already covered, but a lot of it's just about the conversation, man. And I look forward to we basically got more or less the next 6 months mapped out, kind of what we're looking at. I'm excited. I hope that everyone else is as well. Bud, you got any closing thoughts as we wrap this up?
No, sir. I just want to say thank you for listening. If you have been listening so far, we appreciate you in supporting us, and we're going to get better on track to try and integrate some of y'all a little better. Maybe down the road, we'll start branching off more into like some Patreon style things where we can include y'all a little more, maybe get some extra features, because before we even start recording, we may sit on Discord for 30 minutes to an hour and just talk maybe even stuff that's irrelevant to what we're about to talk about. So we may, record some of that and send it to y'all on a Patreon, or, send you some unedited parts of the show, or maybe the whole show. I mean, we're still kind of up in the air about all that. So, send us some ideas if you want to.
This is, in my closing thoughts, is like Bud said, a lot of it is just thank you. This is a hobby for us, but it's something that we really, really, really enjoy doing. If nothing else, it gives me 2-3 hours to talk to Bud, which is in its own right fun. We've spent a lot of time just, countless hours not recording, which we wish we did some days. A lot of it's just about trying to get stuff out there, man. Like Bud said, if there's any ideas or anything that you think that we could do to be better, we would, we're all ears or all eyes, I guess.
I can't read. Don't send them to me.
The Twitters and everything will be in the closing. We are considering a Discord, maybe. There's a lot of things up in the air. We're trying to be as family friendly and
as fitting as possible for y'all.
And we want to be as helpful and useful. And we want people to enjoy being around and to be able to communicate with us directly. There's nothing about us that wants to pretend like we're not able to be able to to be able to talk to, or to be able to have a direct line of communication to. And that's one of the reasons why we've considered Discord and Patreon. Twitter's a little impersonal, even though it's, just another social platform. But Patreon and Discord is a lot more personal. It's a lot easier for us to read through. It's just things we're thinking about. Who knows what the future holds, but we'll do our best for sure. And with that, we bid adieu. Bud, hope you have a good night. This is probably the longest podcast we've ever recorded, so we'll see what happens in the future.
If you made it this far, we appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the Chris and Bud Show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Chris and Bud Show 1, at Deliberate88, and at BudB88. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.